Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. A very warm welcome back. It's the eTeam BRIT GT Challenge. We are back again for round 6 of this incredible Season 3 here on Assetto Corsa Competizione. It's David Christie and Dan Handover jumping into the commentary booth. Dan, a very warm welcome along to the series. And, I guess while our big bad Alex Goldschmidt is away, let's have a little bit of fun tonight.
Absolutely. Good evening, everyone. Thank you very much for having me. Back on the comms that we are, the old dynamic duo here. It's going to be a good laugh. Donington Circuit, ACC is, it's nice to be back commentating on ACC. I'm looking forward to it.
So much to talk about, obviously, but Donington is not a track that we are not used to. We've commentated on many a race together here, and some of the names that take part in this championship, Dan, you know all too well as well. But we'll talk a little bit about the track first, and then we'll get the context of the championship so far. But Donington, obviously, 2.5 miles, available in both the Grand Prix and the national variant as well. But Grand Prix for me, with the Fogarty S's and the Melbourne Hairpin, it really is a proper driver's track, isn't it? It's fast, it's flowing, and there's a lot of tricky challenges there.
It certainly is. Yeah, everyone that knows, obviously, everyone that Donington is a very, very popular circuit. It's a popular circuit regardless of what sim you're in. It definitely does have its challenges. Crane curves, obviously, being one of the main ones. To be fair, down into Old Hairpin, it's a fast complex of corners. So you do have to be careful. It seems quite a relatively simple circuit. As soon as you add the elevation changes in, though, it really can. Going down into the Melbourne Hairpin as well. That sort of like sudden drop that you go through down into the braking zone. You've got to think of lots of different things that can potentially offset your reference points as well. There's a lot of things to take into consideration, which I think is the appeal of this circuit, I think, in one way.
Yeah, absolutely. So, as we said, lots to bring it up to speed on in terms of the championship. But let us go and check in terms of the standings. Robbie Stapleford now out front and in charge, 10 points ahead of Charlie Crossland. Rich Smith in 3rd position, Dean Riley in 4th, Sean Campbell in 5th. Reegan Mitchell, I was expecting bigger things, but it's just not turned out that way through the season so far. He's not had the rub off the green, has Reegan. Down in 6th place, Stuart-Ross French in 7th. Martin Buchan up there in 8th position, fighting out with Bobby Trundlett and Kieran Vidago down in 10th position. Again, lots to play for in the final couple of rounds of the season. Simsport Solutions, though, in the team standing a commanding lead, 15 points ahead of Team Fordzilla Blue, which is now essentially a one-person outfit. You've got Simsport Racing in 3rd position, Zansho Simsport in 4th, Zansho Simsport, the original one, in 5th position, Tavario Corsa in 6th, Red Shell Racing, Team BRIT, Nissan in 7th and 8th, eTeam Vasario in 9th, and Team Fordzilla Orange at the back in 10th place. But obviously what we need to do is we need to give you a little bit of context. So what we're going to do, we're going to cast your minds back, we're going to play that fancy little jingle, and we're going to show you the highlights from round 5 at Snetterton. We're on the run down to the green flag. It's a very, very long run, and the green flag is about to wave. There we go. It is underway. There we go, blocking off it. Crossland sent off, and that's Reegan Mitchell sends Charlie Crossland off into the barriers into turn 1.
Well, is I only ever going to cause a... Oh no, there's another one!
Right, here we go then. This is where the drivers need to settle down. Kieran Vidago trying to hold on to the back, and a huge power slide there from Robbie Stapleford. That sends him wide. That is through Brundle, and we've got a change for the lead as Kieran Vidago moves into the lead. There's contact! And that is huge! Contact keeps the foot in. The two of them, Robbie Stapleford and Kieran Vidago, side by side. Chaos, drama, it's all kicking off here at Snetterton, and this is all for the championship. Up through the inside, then goes Robbie Stapleford to take the lead, and we haven't even got a lap in the books. It's Stapleford from Vidago. What a race have we got, and there's more contact. Into the grass goes Kieran Vidago, and that is always going to certainly be a trip to race control for Robbie Stapleford.
Really no need to be that... Oh, no, Charlie Crossland. He equally doesn't need to be that desperate. That's twice we've seen him go into the back of someone.
That one out. Just going back to your comments on the number 26 there of Campbell, of Sean Campbell. For me personally, you said Lotus. Does that not also remind you of a box of Crayola?
Yeah, now you've said it, yes.
Yeah, never mind. Right, pit window is open, ladies and gentlemen. We've not seen any issues with it, and Stuart-Ross French makes the move on Bobby Trundley.
That was a very quick stop from Stapleford, but Audi comes in, and there is Rich Smith, his forward pursuer of Tempur and Buck. And oh, Spooner, that's not how you're supposed to deal with the exit of Oggies. But that Lexus getting all crossed up, coming through Williams onto the Bentley straight. Keep seeing David Simon just going too wide. It's not turning in. That's not what you tend to see in the corner. That's a out with the Audi, and there goes the Fordzilla Mercedes along with the Crayola Lamborghini. Whoa, huge! Whoa, almost brake failure. There's Martin Neuterlin's going a bit too wide, and then just wanders into the Audi, it looks like. The Audi's minding his own business, making the move. As we jump back to Sean Campbell on the back of Bobby Trundley. Bearing in mind that Nissan has served his penalties. You can see the 10-second flag has gone from the number 23. So this is just an all-out scrap for 6th position. He's not confident on what the Lamborghini's done. You're never going to make a move on the outside of Wilson in a month of Sundays.
So, Mr. Handover, that is what you've got in front of you tonight. That was what happened at Snetterton, and my goodness me, if you thought this weekend was dramatic race fashion, we certainly had our fair share last time out at Snetterton. More of the same, please, tonight. Although, Dan, I'm taking the nerves could probably do with a little bit of a rest tonight.
Well, yeah, I mean, pre-race, pre-broadcast, we already had. I had my say on the weekend's racing. I think from what happened last week, obviously with the Ramblers, that's the first time I've actually seen the highlights. There was certainly a lot of action. Not all of it was ideal, I think, again, is the best way to put it. And hopefully, I think Donington is, I would say it's a slightly easier track, I suppose, in a way, but in some ways it is, in some ways it isn't. It's probably about the same in terms of pace. It is a very, very fast circuit. I might even be a little bit faster average speed than Snetterton. But yeah, I think it's a little bit wider in some places, and there just seems to be a couple more opportunities going down. You can see how wide it is going down into Melbourne Hairpin, for example, whereas turn 2 at Snetterton, it's sort of Constantine is up, and it contracts in quite aggressively. So there should be enough room for everyone. Well, that's what I'm hoping anyway.
Oh, you're so naive, Dan. You're so naive. I just hope tonight that they're not going to be as stingy with their brake pads tonight, because there was a lot of slightly stringent use of brake pads, I think, at Snetterton, or brakes in general, really, watching the highlights back and reliving some of those rather interesting Verstappen-esque descends into some of the corners here. I'm sure tonight will be completely different here at Donington, but 15 and a half minutes left to go. Robbie Stapleford, perhaps unsurprisingly, up at the top of the tree there, but have a look who is up with him. Charlie Crossland, who was at the top of the time screens for a little bit now, just 1/10 of a second separating the two of them. And given that we're right into the business end of the championship, just 3 rounds left to go, Dan, and that they are split by just the 10 points, I have the feeling we're going to be in for some more fireworks tonight.
We certainly are. Very, very true indeed. Obviously, we've 15 minutes remaining of qualifying, and a couple of things can happen. I mean, just having a quick look at the times. I mean, look at you got. Actually, we've just seen Dean Riley from Simsport Racing Noir in the 222 has just gone up into third place, 0.02 of a second faster than Michael O'Brien. Dendy from the Zansho Simsport number 128 Mercedes. Very good looking livery with the gold, sort of yellowy gold wheels. I like that a lot. That looks very, very good. I think that's just in front. I believe that is Robbie Stapleford. I believe just ahead as well. So I wonder what Robbie is going to do. Is he going to improve? It's an out lap, so I'm being told. So no, he won't improve this lap. Is Will Dendy going to improve? He's currently sitting in P5. Is he going to go up? He does indeed, goes up into P3. So it's now currently a Zansho Simsport number 1 and number 3 with Charlie Crossland slap bang in the middle.
Well, that's great for him improving, but I wish he'd improve those wheels, because those things are absolute dustbin lids at the moment on the car there. But we'll see if his taste changes. I'm certainly no one to talk about taste, as we see Sean Campbell in the Devario Corsa machine, the Lamborghini, making his way round the final corner just now, currently in 9th position, and some easy pickings in terms of improvements to be done. Sean Campbell comes across the line and moves up to 8th position now, just 1.2 seconds behind the leader. And have a look at that, Dan, we have got a little bit of a fight on our hands. Charlie Crossland takes pole position, 125.952 to 1/100th of a second ahead of Robbie Stapleford, and we've got 5 cars, mark that, 5 cars within a second of the leader.
We certainly have indeed. We also have just got, you just saw that move up into P3. He's now only a couple of tenths, 2.5 tenths off of the new pole sitter, Charlie Crossland, 0.03 of a second. While the gap doesn't seem too much, a gap on Robbie Stapleford is certainly a gap to be nevertheless. Ben Brown from Camsport Fight in the 720S number 22 is coming down just into the Melbourne hairpin this time around. He is currently sitting in P14, 1.6 seconds. If he gets a couple of tenths, though, he'll be looking at a P11. So around about, 2.5 tenths, we'll see him slot into P11, just ahead of Tony Mellor in the number 20 Bentley for the other Zansho Simsport car. Comes around the last corner. What is it going to be? And it is going to be, it does indeed, look at that, a few tenths gain there for Ben Brown, and he now goes up into the spot that I mentioned just then, P11.
Yeah. Great job for them to do that. Let's see if we can go on board actually with Aaron Martin Pilkington then for Simsport Racing Rouge, who moves up into 8th position then. Let's go and have a little look round the track then, down into the brakes, into Redgate then, turn 1, a sweeping right-hander back on the acceleration again, and you've got this long right-hander here at Hollywood, then down the elevation changes, the track just drops away from you here at the Craner curves, the iconic Craner curves, through that left-hander, down on the brakes into the old hairpin, nice and early, keep the power on as much as you can, through Starkey's Bridge, then through the Schwartz curve, up the hill towards McLean's, this right-hander that comes against the camber of the car here. The right just pushes that car out to the left. You can see the runoff there, but you really don't want to let that thing drift out. Over to Coppice again, a deceiving corner, because you have to take 2 bites of the cherry of this corner here at Coppice. Then you open up the throttle down through Starkey Street here, and you have to get the car lined up nice and early, get it straightened up onto the brakes here, into the Fogarty S's then, as straight a line as you possibly can. You want to get a good exit on the run down to the Melbourne hairpin. Such an important part for the momentum of this lap. It can all be won or lost down here. Again, double bite just like at Coppice down here at the Melbourne hairpin. Get the car smoothly lined up put the throttle down, and then it's on the run up the hill towards Goddard's. Again, a very, very tight left-hander, way tighter than you actually think it is until you get at least 1 or 2 laps around your belt. And across the line then goes Martin Pilkington. No improvement on his position, but a fairly handy lap round there nonetheless. And we've now got 5 cars still within a second, but outside of that we've then got another 11 cars within a second of 6th place in Kieran Vidago. So again, Dan, just showing you how close these cars are getting, and I've got no doubt that by the next 10 minutes we're going to have at least 20 cars within a second and a half.
Yes, we should very well be. Very, very true indeed. Apologies, everyone, if you're having a small little issue with my mic. I am adjusting that as we speak. Yes, so Charlie Pert, currently P25 as well. If we go down to number 88, Caden Casual Apex 2. Ferrari comes across the line, currently 3.4 seconds off. Is there going to be improvement? No improvement at the moment. A couple of tenths off of Per's best lap as it stands, but still 10 minutes remaining, so there's plenty of time to get. This is quite a quick circuit, actually. I suppose you've got 1 minute 25 laps. You've got at least another 4 laps in the bag here to be able to go through and actually get some more times up. You can see a lot of people coming into the pits now. I imagine they're coming in for their final pit stop, of which they'll jump into, put a bit more fuel on board, maybe a fresh set of tyres, and they'll go straight back out. Big moment there for Martin Bushen. Big moment there.
Yeah, Martin Buchan doing big moves round the corner, but Robbie Stapleford retakes that pole position, 125.935. Can he improve again on this lap here? I think not, but again, Stapleford and Crossland just trading blows here. That's now just 1/100th of a second as we see a car off in the background, a way to absolutely destroy those Sunoco boards there. Reegan Mitchell come through the Fogarty S's here, and that was the 63 car that brought out the yellow flags there, so we'll check up on that in just a second. But Reegan Mitchell now coming down into the Melbourne hairpin, 8.5 minutes left to go, currently down in P11. Expect to see Reegan in the top 6. Certainly he's got the pace easily to do that. Don't be surprised if you see him in the top 3. But out of the final corner then, out of Goddard's, Reegan Mitchell comes across the line, 6th position, exactly a second behind Robbie Stapleford, and that is a fast lap. But again, that just shows the unbelievable pace of Robbie Stapleford and Charlie Crossland. So just seeing Charlie Crossland's here coming through, a 10th up just now. This could be a pivotal lap for the Team Fordzilla machine. The number 10 machine just making their way round out of Coppice, then down Starkey Straight here into the Fogarty S's. And again, Charlie Crossland doing everything that he possibly can to make this work and push that car as far as it possibly can for Team Fordzilla. Blue is going to be very, very close through Melbourne for the next time. 7.5 minutes left to go. It's only Goddard's left, and this is looking good, but it's still nip and tuck. He's lost it. So there we go. He pulls the car in, gets as much as he can, and Dan, again, you see drivers going very, very wide at Goddard's to try and get as much on the throttle for the next lap.
Yeah, well, any advantage needs to be had here, doesn't it, really? Even if that advantage, we can see here, even if that advantage is, 0.02 of a second, look at the gap. The gap between Crossland and Stapleford is less than 0.02 of a second. So, yeah, anything like that they can get their hands on, they will absolutely need to. Stuart-Ross French from Red Sail Racing SRS is going to be currently a 10th up, we are being told. So a 10th will still put him in P14 at the moment. Needs to try and gain a little bit more time going on. A little bit of a wiggle on exit, though, of the last corner. Comes across the line. It is an improvement, but still sitting in P14 currently. So, not an additional bit of movement. It's actually one of the bigger gaps where, even a 10th of a second, normally that would move you up sort of 2 or 3 positions. At the moment, unfortunately, it's not. A gap like that is quite few and far between, isn't it?
Yeah, certainly is. I'm also looking at Bobby Trundle and Martin Pilkington, 8th and 9th position, who are exactly the same time, 1.1 seconds behind leader. In fact, that's now just changed. So thanks very much for doing that. Bobby Trundle goes a little bit faster still. Robbie Stapleford then still on pole position with that 125, and Charlie Crossland fires back in style, another 2/100ths of a second, 125.907. What can Robbie Stapleford have in answer to that one? We'll find out in a second. Will Dendy in 5th position, 6/10 of a second. So again, still we have 5 cars in that top 5, but here comes Michael O'Brien as well. And I've got to be honest, I mean, this is a thrilling end to qualifying here. We just don't know how this is going to pan out here. So just watching with, as we say, 5 minutes left to go. Michael O'Brien for Zansho Simsport here. He's making his way down towards the Melbourne hairpin. That right-hander again, he's deciding to pull out of that lap there. Meanwhile, Robbie Stapleford just coming through McLean's in towards Coppice now as we're watching Tony Mella in the Zansho Simsport Bentley, and just coming out of the final corner here. Currently a 1.5 seconds up. That's a huge gain for Tony Mella, up into the top 10 then. 8/10 of a second, nearly 9/10 of a second behind your race. Your pole sitter Charlie Crossland, 125.907. Again, we're in the final couple of minutes, but all eyes right now. Robbie Stapleford coming down into Melbourne hairpin then to try and take that pole position back. This is going to be a huge lap if he can actually make this work. If he's not on an outlap, I think this is an actual lap for Robbie just now. He comes through Goddard's then and is going to come across the line. If he's not going to go into the pits, we'll wait with bated breath to see what he does. And across the line there, that may have been an outlap then. So Dan, 3.5 minutes left to go, 3 and 3/4 minutes left to go in qualifying. This is starting to get a bit spicy here. And I think the Christmas Pixies have stolen Dan Handover. So we'll let our production team work on bringing him back from the ether as we focus on the final 3.5 minutes left to go in qualifying. It's still Charlie Crossland from Robbie Stapleford, the time running out, and I really am a little bit nervous having these two on the front row of the grid together as we see Martin Buchan coming across the line just outside the top 10 there in 11th place, with Bobby Trundle heading out that top 10, 1.090 seconds behind your current pole sitter. But Robbie Stapleford through the Fogarty S's. Here we go. It's going to be on the run down to Melbourne. Does he have anything left in the tank? And this is going to be a very fast watched race and qualifying session for Robbie Stapleford. The other thing that absolutely blows my mind with Robbie Stapleford coming through the final corner here is that he, as a race winner, has full ballast on that machine, and he is still only 2/100ths of a second behind your pole sitter. Absurd pace, absurd skill from Charlie Crossland. Still got a couple of minutes left to go. Here comes Kieran Vidago though, 0.5 tenth up on his half a second up on his previous time. That would be enough. That would be enough to put him in 5th position ahead of Will Dendy. Gets out of Goddard's end. What can Kieran Vidago do? Does exactly that. 5th position for Kieran Vidago. That demotes Will Dendy down into 6th. 2 minutes left to go. And wow. If you just joined us, a very good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Warm welcome. eTeam BRIT. It's the GT Challenge Season 3, Round 6 here at Donington Park. David Christie and Dan Handover here with you. And wow. Our Martin Pilkington doing some solid gains actually. He's been chipping away in the background. He was down to P16 at one point. This could be enough to bring him up to 9th place. It is. So Aaron Martin Pilkington goes up into P9, into the top 10. That knocks out Bobby Trundle and Martin Buchan to 11th and 12th place. But this will all change. We've now got nearly 10 cars inside a second. This is exactly what I said. We've got 15 cars within 2 seconds. Bobby Trundle in the big bad GTR Godzilla comes roaring down Starkey Straight, onto the brakes in towards the Fogarty S's, and again through there with no problem whatsoever. We've got a yellow flag for Aaron Martin Pilkington, even. As I think he's just bailed out after his lap is done. He'll jump into the pits and won't be able to come back out. So again, this is do or die. If you're on the track, awesome, you can probably get another lap in, but if you're into pit lane, it's all done and dusted. We've got yellow flags as the number 88 brings them out as well. So what can Bobby Trundley do? He's currently in P11, goes into the top 10. There we go, jumps up then into P10. Max Spinner for eTeam Visario in the number 63 machine, and by the powers of, well, tech wizardry or Greyskull or whatever you want to say, we should have Dan Handover back. I heard the giggle there. Welcome back, Dan. Where did you go? How was your trip to the other side?
It was nice. I'm glad to be back, though. It was, yeah, I really don't know what happened, but we are back now anyway. Luckily, with 10 minutes left to qualify. 10 seconds left to qualify. Reegan Mitchell goes up. Does he? No, he doesn't. His last lap was only 300ths off his previous time, so good consistency there. Max Spooner, though, eTeam Visaro in the big boat of a Lexus car. Fantastic car. I really, really like it. It's very retro, bit in a modern way. I don't know what it is about it, but it's a very, very cool looking car. Goes up into P24, so a couple of positions gained from Max Spooner, and I believe Stapleford has indeed parked it. Yes, Michael O'Brien is one of the only people that will be able to take that away. But apart from that, that is, I believe, Charlie Crossland, provisionally, although Robbie Stapleford can't get him. So Michael O'Brien, the only person within the top 5 still running, can take that pole position away. But at the moment, it's looking good for Charlie Crossland.
Yeah, I think it's done and dusted unless Michael O'Brien or Reegan Mitchell has anything. Reegan Mitchell I would expect to see in the top 5. Michael O'Brien, maybe be able to move up into third position, but pace-wise, and surely that's very, very wide at Fogarty's. In fact, never mind the Fogarty's, he went wide on the left-hand side there, so that is done and dusted. Here comes Bradley Brockies. What has he got left in the tank? And he's going to get blocked by that car in front, so yeah, not the best. And Reegan Mitchell pulls it into the pit, so there we go. That is a huge pole position for Charlie Crossland, given that we've got 3 races left to go in the season here, Dan, and he is 10 points behind Robbie Stapleford. Game on.
It absolutely is game on. Very, very true. One thing, though, that obviously Charlie Cross to be careful of. Obviously, not only is Robbie Stapleford battling pretty early on, but also just got to be a little bit careful for how tyres are managed at this moment in time, especially with this new update. I'm sure you've spoken about it before, but the tyres are very, very easy to now overcook. So you do have to be very, very careful indeed, especially at such a high-speed circuit like this. You go through, McLean's, Coppice, going through Old Hairpin. You're putting a lot of strain through these tyres. A good 80% of the track is sort of what would be considered like a medium to high-speed corner. So, tyre management's very, very key. Robbie can certainly use this position in a way to his advantage. He can almost manage, if he can keep up with Charlie, then he can sort of manage his pace and almost try and push Charlie Crossland and see if he can push him a bit over the limit. Again, time will tell. It's a long old race here. But we've got to just, tactics are obviously going to have to be a factor in, especially when it comes to your management of the car itself around this pretty challenging circuit.
Now, actually, that brings up a very, very good point here, and we haven't spoken about the changes in 1.8 because, of course, the last round happened before the week before the 1.8 update, so a huge different kettle of fish. The other thing, Dan, is it's pouring with rain. That is what the big change is right now. Charlie Crossland on pole position then, alongside Robbie Stapleford. Dean Riley alongside Michael O'Brien on row 2. Row 3 is going to be Kieran Vidago and Will Dendy. It's then Tony Mella alongside Reegan Mitchell. And then you've got Aaron Martin Pilkington and Bobby Trundley on row 5. Row 6 is Sean Campbell alongside Martin Buchan. Ben Brown is alongside Stuart-Ross French. It's then the number 8 machine in 15th place of Tempera alongside Bradley Brockies. Hamish Eisner in 17th with Sandero. Ballesteros in 18th position. Just looking at our, I think that's our sole Honda is down there in 19th position. That is James Haskell alongside Dan Hyde. And then in 21st is Mark Neutlings alongside the 445 machine of Michael Tyler in the Aston Martin. Luke Pound is in the GTR in 23rd position alongside Max Spooner for eTeam Vizaro down in 24th, 25th and 26th. At the back of the grid is going to be James Hall alongside Charlie Parr. So let's actually get into that then, Dan, because we've got 3 minutes to chat about this. But the 1.8 update has been a massive, massive physics update to Assetto Corsa Competizione. Completely reworked tyre model as well. And one of the things that you alluded to and has been, on all of the content creators getting across, I remember Niles Noyox was one of the first ones that I watched to get his impressions of it. And he said, like you did just there, you have to be more gentle with the tyres. They are more susceptible to overcooking, to blistering very, very early on if you don't work them gently up to temperature. However, what I don't know is how they're going to handle in the wet in terms of temperature wise. I can't see that being too much of an issue because it is very wet and it's a very, very cool day here at the virtual Donington Park.
It is. That is very, very true. Imagine, and again, this has been sort of the analogy that a lot of people have been saying. Imagine that this is iRacing. Imagine this, what would be the beginnings of an iRacing 2.0. I think is sort of how it is described in a way. The driving styles are so much more similar now. Before, your lift and coast was very, very crucial, and lift and coast was almost a necessity in a way. Now, very much I wouldn't say the opposite, because coasting still can help, regardless of what sim you're in. But the tables have really, really turned, and controlling the car under braking now and being able to drive the car into the corner in a much more progressive way is now the way to really make the most and to get the most out of these cars. Which, again, people that race both sims will be familiar from iRacing. Some people are adapting to it very, very well. Other people aren't adapting to it, I suppose, as well. It really depends on how well that you know, one, the other sim, or the sims that it now caters more towards. As we've got, just in case this is needed, we now do have the crane cam.
Oh, I thought that was a safety car.
I'm trying to think, where's that? That's on the end. That's on the coppice, isn't it?
Is it? Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, no, that's Melbourne Hairpin, isn't it? It is. That's the end of Mel. Is it not? Oh well, yeah. I stand corrected, Dan.
You see, I'm not as silly as I look. But yeah, it's massive changes, and I suppose this is actually a bit of the unknown as well. I've not personally done this. I don't know. I can't imagine. Again, there hasn't been that many wet races with this new update yet. So this may be than we expect it to be anyway. So I imagine this will be a bit of the unknown for some drivers here.
So if you're brand new to the action tonight, a very warm welcome. As we said, eTeam BRIT GT Challenge Season 3. We are in the sim called Assetto Corsa Competizione. This is Donington Park, a very, very wet Donington Park here, and it's only going to get even worse over the next 6 to 8 minutes. But the cars are away to head off for round 6 of the championship. They are away to go round on their formation lap. Charlie Crossland and Robbie Stapleford taking the field around, and we get ready for our third to last race of the season with 26 cars taking to the grid. Again, going to be very, very important, Dan, getting these tyres worked up, because with it being a rolling start, this is now the only opportunity these drivers have got to get some heat, to get some warmth, and to get some grip into those tyres. And my goodness me, if we were excited before, I'm a little bit nervous about turn 1 and Redgate.
Redgate may be a little bit interesting. I think the one that I'm probably, I suppose, the most concerned for is coming down into here, into Old Hairpin. Old Hairpin you've got to be committed at the best of times, let alone when you're then having to be committed when it's absolutely throwing it down with the rain, of which it is. So there are going to be drivers are going to have to take extra air here, because if they don't, it will turn around and it will bite them. There is no question about that at all. Again, what you'll probably tend to find as well, especially when it comes into more wet conditions, unless your name is Ayrton Senna around Donington, you've always got to take that little bit of extra caution. So you can see Robbie Stapleford there trying to get some heat into the tyre, because that may even be something, I think one of the ones, was it Kimi Räikkönen in the F1 calendar this year? I believe it was this year, maybe last year. I can't remember what circuit it was like, but there was one circuit. Remember, we went from like 16th to 6th, and that was because his tyres were switched on more than the other drivers around him. So that's what you'll see. Some of the drivers there, they'll be trying to weave quite frantically just to try and get some heat into those tyres, because even something like that, with how close the front of this field is, a small little advantage like that will make all of the difference.
And it's been quite a while since I've raced on Assetto Corsa Competizione, as Charlie Crossland absolutely nukes the bollard there. But one of the other strategies that drivers used to use was a little bit of the brake at the same time as driving down, and using the brake actually to heat the core of the tyre up, Dan. Just very quickly, is that still a valid strategy?
It still does help, yeah, because what you do is absolutely, you're correct. So you hit the brakes up, that temperature, this is how good the simulations are now, temperature goes into the alloy, then goes into the carcass at the top. It gradually sort of heats the tyre from the inside out. So that's still something that I think drivers still tend to, you can actually see it now, people sort of like pumping the brake just to get some heat into them, and obviously into the tyre as well. But either way, what a race I picked to be a part of.
Oh, this is going to be an absolute belter. 3 rounds in the championship left to go. It's all on between Charlie Crossland and Robbie Stapleford. The cars coming out of Goddard's. Here we go. 60 minutes of racing as David Christie and Dan Handover taking you through all of the coverage tonight. Let's get underway then. Charlie Crossland leads him across the line. We are green flag racing here. It's Charlie Crossland with the inside line into Redgate, into turn 1, as you see Robbie Stapleford trying to get the cut back already. Get to move. What a move, and they're going to be side by side, but I think Charlie Crossland is just going to have the drive out the corner there. Robbie Stapleford thinks better of it. We've got a car going backwards, and I've got a feeling that may have been Max Spooner onto the brakes then, coming into the old hairpin then, and that old railway Brent. Oh my goodness me, that is a great start from Charlie Crossland. Championship wise, Dan, that is everything he wanted and needed to do coming into McLean's.
Absolutely, very true. You just saw it there into turn, cut back into dry line. That would have been absolutely done and dusted. That would have moved done. Unfortunately, because he was on the wetter patch of the circuit, just didn't have the drive on the way out. May have had some additional, maybe less traction control or something, that maybe more traction control hits in a bit too much. But you can see it again here as well. Robbie Stapleford darting to the inside, just trying to move across. You're going from Latin Room. Big moment there from Charlie Cross, and that would have cost him significantly. It has indeed. He's had a big moment as well. This is going to be Robbie Stapleford going around the outside, going down into the Melbourne hairpin. Is it going to be? It's going to be tricky though. But do you know what? If he has it on the brakes, Charlie Crossland tries to get out. The cutback is going to be on the cards here. Yes, it is. So Robbie Stapleford, who can get the better drive? It is going to be Stapleford, but he's got to cut off. Do you know what? He's done it. Robbie Stapleford gets the cut back into Melbourne hairpin of Charlie Crossland, though, decided that he doesn't want to give up that position that easily, and he's going to try and go around the outside, going into the last. Oh, they touch. Big moment for both of them. Fair play for both drivers there to avoid that. Oh, it's spicy after this first lap, isn't it?
Also, as I'm completely lost for words there, the two of them are going to be absolutely banging door panels for the rest of the race, absolutely guaranteed. So we'll come back to them as well. But I mean, apart from one car, Dan, every single car has survived, and they're all in orderly fashion. That is a brilliant start to the race, and the reason I make that is we saw from Snetterton and the highlights there, that didn't happen. So this is a new thing here for the first round. As we see, that is Kieran Vidago, I believe it is, just up in front, or is that Tony Mella? It was Tony Mella who went very, very wide there, out of the bend there, in towards McLean's here, and things are still a little bit dicey. Drivers really struggling to understand where the grip is, because this is a rapidly evolving situation here. Every single lap is going to be a new voyage of discovery, Dan, isn't it? Because the grip changes every lap to lap.
Absolutely, yeah. Your grip is going to change pretty much everything, even every corner to a certain degree as well. Now going back, that is Reegan Mitchell has a bit of a look on Tony Mella, but nothing as it stands at the moment. You can see they're just managing. No. You do want a little bit of slip, but even in these sort of wet conditions, you just want a little bit of slip. Look at it in the back there, though. Whoa, that's a Lamborghini. Sean Campbell on French, I believe it was. Stuart-Ross French is having to defend quite aggressively from the number 26 Lamborghini. And is it going to be something? Look at that. You can just see Campbell trying to decide which way he wants to go. but he can't really quite make up his mind. So he tries to go on the outside. There's no cutback on the cars there because French puts it on the inside and keeps it on the inside, though covering that move off. So very well adjusted there. We can see again, Campbell tries to look at the inside, last the late breakers. It is still going to be Stuart-Ross French as it stands at the moment. It's tricky to make lunges work because, you know, you are on what is considered the wetter portion of the circuit. You can actually see as you go down Craner curves, the dry, not a dry line's forming, but I would say a less damp line is forming actually. And as soon as you come off that, regardless, even though you've got wet tyres on, it's going to be difficult to be able to get the car stopped. So it may be what would be considered a bit of it's not a procession, obviously, because there has been some very, very good racing, but it's just a bit more tricky to overtake at this stage of the race. We are only 4 minutes in. It's just October though. So yeah, a long way to go here and a long way for the weather to change.
Risk management plays a huge part in this as well. It's like how desperately, how badly do you need that place? And that's what comes into it. I mean, if we look at Dean Riley now, it's seconds and a half behind Charlie Crossland there. He's dropped off the face of a cliff there down in third position. Charlie Crossland, though, still staying fairly accurate there with Robbie Stapleford, maybe just trying to keep him within sight and not let him head off into the sunset. The Mercedes also hit its tyres, I think, and it's going to come into its own as that fuel starts to burn off and the weight transfer starts moving about. As we see Mark Neutling's getting it all wrong into Melbourne Hairpin. You saw that one coming a mile off as he put two wheels onto the curb on the inside there, and that always spells trouble because there's no grip whatsoever. If there's poor grip off of the racing line, there's no grip when you go onto the curbs, and the car just becomes a bit of a boat at this point. So remember, there's going to be a mandatory pit stop as well. That window will open up. So usually around about 20 minutes into the race, and that opens up for 20 minutes. So in 15 minutes time, we're going to start seeing the pit window open, and you can see there Dan Hyde again just aquaplaning sideways, the car jinking under pressure as it comes down through the Craner curves there. The Craner curves, I think, are one of the most dangerous parts of this track here, Dan, because again, you're trying to get the car straightened up to get onto the brakes, but if you touch the brakes while you're still turning that car left at any point, then you're a sitting duck.
Yeah, if you do it in a way that's you can brake and turn at the same time, even the conditions. You've just got to manage really the brake pressure that you have. If you go in with sort of like 60-70% brake pressure, if you're turning into Coppice, for example, yeah, the car says, whoa, big moment there. Number 6, who was that? That was Martin Pilkington and Reegan Mitchell that was a bit of contact there. Unfortunately, just maybe Pilkington had a bit of a better drive going out of the Melbourne Hairpin and was caught out by Reegan Mitchell, who didn't have that drive. We can just see in the background there that is Pilkington that still is carrying on. But unfortunately, Mitchell has now dropped down the order, down into 13. You can just see him just gone out of shot there as well. Tony Mellor, though, cracking on in the Boatley. Currently, I think they're very apt name for the current conditions, is currently sitting in P7, 2.7 seconds away from Kieran Vidago. But again, long way to go within this race. We know the Bentley is a very, very good long It's a car that will just trundle along. It will just continue to run laps. It's a very, very easy car to drive. The conditions, I'd want to be in the Bentley.
Yeah, it's a difficult choice, isn't it? Because obviously you've got your own strengths and weaknesses with the car itself, and then you've got the strengths and weaknesses of your own driving style in the wet as well. And it's a very, very difficult one. I always find that I prefer the Bentley as well in wet weather conditions, but then I tried the Aston and actually gelled with that a little bit more. Probably wasn't any faster in it, but yeah, it's just... I'm just having a look here. Dean Riley went off the track there. He was in third position. There we go. So he's down to 11th place already. So a horror corner from Dean Riley. Sean Campbell has decided he's off to get a cup of coffee or something like that, because there was absolutely no way he was ever making that corner braking so late there. Dan, one of the other things, I'm just distracted as Sean Campbell tries to send it up the inside there. I think Dean Riley's going to see that one coming and just drive around the outside. But Dan, the other thing about that 1.8 update is the balance of performance has been completely thrown on its head. And if anything now, for me, again, personally, it feels like all of the cars now have been absolutely equalised.
Yeah, I think we've done a bit. Well, I've done a bit more testing within it, and I mean, for me, it's a bit more tricky to say because I feel that I've gained a fair chunk of pace within ACC now, seeing as since Commonwealth Y Racing, which is my main sim. That's gone off. That's Pilkington that's gone off again. So position, whether maybe it just, I wonder if it was a tad too much on the curves. It's going to be himself versus Campbell. I think it is going to be. This is a replay now. So this is Hamish just going through. What happened? Oh dear. Okay, two cars.
Was that Bobby Trundley?
I don't know.
It was a GTR, and he just got absolutely. I'm pretty sure our broadcast producer Mike Yao is into his ice hockey. That's a proper full-on 2-minute major for a body check there. Yeah, cross-checking. That's a brutal hip check there. Yeah.
I wonder. I mean, I'm guessing. To be fair, tyres are cold. Maybe just it looked like as well. Maybe a little bit of curb. Just got on the curb and it just sort of kicked the car out a little bit. So maybe a small little bit of obviously correcting for that possible big sort of swab of oversteer. It's very, very strange though. It seems to happen. It looked like it for the fact of how quick it happened. It looked like it happened really, really quickly. So maybe just a kick on the oversteer there. But I mean, unfortunately, it just happened to be that there was a car there. But arguably that may have helped. This is as we're going now through. This is Aaron Martin Pilkington, and yeah, do you know what? I just don't think he was expecting. Is it me, or did Mitchell brake? Did I see a set of brake lights then from Reegan Mitchell? I'm almost certain that I did. I could be wrong.
That's a bit awkward. Anyway, we've got more yellow flags, and that is the 63 that is in more strife. That is our illustrious Max Spooner, who has come to strife. That is out of Redgate and into Hollywood that he's had that issue there. Again, climbing all over the curbs here onto the brakes, and it's a difficult track to try and get going on. And Max really trying to put the foot down in that Lexus. But out the front though, I'm getting a little bit worried because Robbie Stapleford now, a little bit of daylight between him and Charlie Crossland in first and second place there. Let's have a look here at what happened to Dean Riley. Onto the brakes, into the Fogarty S's, a little bit of the curb on the inside, tries to save it and pulls it in, and oh dear, straight to the scene of the accident.
Unfortunately, Michael O'Brien got caught out there. That was a big shame. It's arguably easier to try and it's easier to avoid these in the wet conditions. Whoa! Big moment there from Max Spooner, obviously for getting confused with what would be a Formula Drift event. Managing to keep it all in check though, which is very, very nice. Nice to see. That just looked like Michael O'Brien, I imagine, did try and avoid that as much as he could. Unfortunately, though, again, when you're in wet conditions, you try and steer out of something like that happening, and tyres get overwhelmed so much easier. It's a lot more tricky to be able to actually get out of a situation like that. So a bit of a shame that you can see the damage on the front right of Michael O'Brien's car, so almost be 100%. That was certainly. Yeah, but then look at Bobby Trundley. Look at the steering inputs. The rain is supposed to get heavy that we can see in the top right of the top right conditions track there. You can see that it is going to supposedly get wetter, and even more rain is supposed to sit on the circuit, so the curbs are going to be even more well, but just see the amount of steering inputs that drivers are having to make here just to keep the car in check. This car, I mean, this is the Nissan. Nissan's again, it's a big old barge of a car. Arguably, though, better in these sort of conditions because you've got more. You can transfer the weight a little bit easier. But even so, that is a lot of steering work going in. I'm sure that this is going to be Bobby's going to be tired after.
Yeah, he's getting the old upper arm workout again, as we've got.
Yes.
Is that James Haskell that brings out the yellow? No, that's actually the 30. So penalty for car 76 is a 10-second penalty for the 76 of Martin Pilkington for causing a collision with car 69. So that was the replay that we saw there into the back of Reegan Mitchell there. Yeah, that was pretty much a slam dunk case, and if you can believe it already, Dan, a race leader is a way to go and pass his first back marker. That is going to be, I believe, the number 30 of Hamish Eisner, who's going to get put a lap down here.
Indeed, yes, very, very true. So, as you say, that the first of what could potentially be many. Yellow flags are out. Can't quite see.
That's Hamish Eisner. Yeah, that's just
right,
as soon as it goes past.
Right.
Oh, that's at the chicane. That's not a good place to be stranded your car.
Just see the yellow flag yet to be waved. There is Hamish. Cars to go through and should now be moving away once he's got a bit of clean track. There he goes, just getting ready. I mean, to be fair, it's a bit of a between a rock and a hard place. I mean, if anything, what I would try and do is try and actually reverse and then try to maybe have joined a little bit further up the road. But again, did exactly what he should have done, which was wait until he had it clear of his space and then pull that pace up. Michael O'Brien currently sitting in P5, and he's about 2.5 seconds further up the road than Tony Mellor in, actually 2.1 seconds that we can see there. But Tony Mellor has been hassled quite aggressively by Trudley. Whoa, big moment again there. Trying to go again. I mean, this. Oh, Tony Mellor's gone wide. That could let out the inside. Bobby Trudley has another big moment trying to get up the inside. Does he do it? Yes, he does. Okay, down into the crane of curves. That is a position gain for Bobby Trudley. Position loss for Tony Mellor. Is there going to be a bit of a send there from pushing the 666 Lexus? No, not at the moment. The three biggest cars out on circuit. They are now all within half a second of one another. Oh my goodness, how did save that? No, these are really, really pushing these cars here. A quarter of an hour has gone in this race. That's a Lexus. That's a Lexus off.
That's
Who
Spooner.
is that?
That's Max Spooner sat by the side of the road, and I think he is done and dusted. The 63 eTeam Vizero car is done. The front end of that car looks fairly toast to me. The front left looks quite significantly higher than it actually should be. But back to Bobby Trudley now, doing a grand job of holding on to the 6th place, and we know he's good for it. We know he's got the pace for it, and he's got Michael O'Brien just up the road, as we see Martin Buchan trying to make hay as well. Sneaks up the inside here at Melbourne. It's going to be a drag race up through towards Goddard's, and Tony Mellor is always going to take that one, and Max Spooner's going to have to wake up a little bit earlier in the morning to try and catch Tony Mellor out there. But have a look at Sean Campbell as well in the Lamborghini, and there goes Bobby Trudley, spins it out at the final corner at Goddard's under I didn't think he was under all that much pressure, and I would bet a handsome penny that he's put two wheels onto the curbing on the inside. The car's just washed out there, Dan. So absolutely gutting for Bobby Trudley. He has to go and undo all that work again.
Yeah, here we go. Instant replay here. You just see
Isn't
as well.
there.
So, well, I mean, to be fair, what it looks like, and maybe a little bit too much rear bias to start with. Looks like maybe just went into the corner a bit too aggressively. So what happens then, obviously, you get on the brakes and the front end just goes, all of the front of the car sort of like leans, and obviously the weight transfers over to the front axle. Rear goes quite light, and then as soon as you add some steering lock, if you have even less grip then on the rear of the car, it'll start to go. Couple that with maybe a bit of aquaplaning or something similar, and the car just eventually goes. So big shame there for Bobby Trudley. Just looked like he went in just a little bit too deep and a little bit too aggressively. In the wet, wouldn't be a problem at all. Would be absolutely fine. In the dry would be absolutely fine. In wet in these conditions, certainly not ideal. Now looking back on Tony Mellor, and now we're switching to the front of Vision's car in the 666. Goes a little bit wide, but simply just taking a slightly different line going through. No real time lost there. Again, you can see the car squirreling under throttle, just trying to get that car down. You generally want to be using another one of the updates things is traction control and ABS. Both seem to have much more of a you've got a little bit more, a lot more testing is needed to work out sort of traction control and ABS settings work best for you. You can see there. Interestingly enough, though, have a look at the different lines you just saw through there. Taylor was a good couple of meters further over to the left, and arguably that did a little bit of time away, I think, from the 666 Lexus T Fazaro car. Sorry. Yeah, so arguably, I think that line definitely did help. Maybe only a tenth was pulled out, but arguably, again, in conditions like this and how close everyone is as well, especially here, Mella, Bush and Campbell, a tenth of a second is actually quite a sizable margin.
Yeah, that's right. The other thing that we've got to consider as well is in the next minute and a half, we're away to have our pit window open so drivers can come in and get their mandatory pit stop out the way. Now, Dan, if it's you, I mean, what would you rather do? Would you rather come in for a late pit stop, or do you want to just get out of the way and just focus on the remainder of the race?
Late pit stop, I would be going as late as I possibly can. You want to try and make sure that when you do have to fill up, you little fuel as possible. You're going to reduce your pit stop, reduce the time that you are spent in the pits. Then that's what I would try and do. If the conditions were potentially drying up, again, I would arguably try and pit as I could. If the conditions were dry and they were getting rain was starting obviously earlier, it's just one of those things where luckily, with the way that the conditions are hopefully going to be staying as well for the drivers, because they're going to be used to the current conditions, I would just be pitting as late as I possibly could to reduce the amount of time in the pit stop, because that is going to benefit you quite immensely, actually.
Yeah, that's certainly the case. So 28 seconds to go until the pit window opens, but this is a battle and a half. Tony Mella with Martin Buchan and Sean Campbell absolutely nose to tail. But we have to speak about Robbie Stapleford, nearly 7 seconds ahead of Charlie Crossland in the lead of this race. It's been just a ridiculous start. We know that he is an incredibly fast youngster. I can't even remember, I think this is my brain trying to block trauma here. I can't even remember how old he is, but he's something like 15 or 16, 15 years old, and he's just so fast. And as a very slow 38-year-old wannabe sim racer, I find that absolutely offensive in almost every level possible.
It's one of the thing is, Robbie is very young. It does mean that he can spend all of his time because he has not been introduced to the real world as such. He is able to spend a lot more time on it than you or I. And, I mean, obviously, that's not taken away from the immense talent that he does have. Absolutely not. He is able to dedicate a lot of time here, and arguably that's why he is in the position that he's in. That's why he is just simply so fast. And that gap now has gone from 8.1 seconds. Bear in mind, we were talking about this earlier. It started mere 20 minutes ago, or 22. Talking about obviously Charlie Crossland and Robbie Stapleford, fighting door to door for what seemed to be the entire race because of how those first couple of laps played out. I mean, that could not now be further from the truth. That 8.1 second gap, of which is, I would imagine, going to continue to increase. We'll see what the time delta is next time around. You can just see the time delta has disappeared. So in a few moments' time, it will pop up. I reckon 8.3, 8.8 even. So 7/10 faster in the second sector alone is Robbie Stapleford. Pit window is now open as well, though, for, and correct me if I'm wrong, sorry, David, this is for the next 20 minutes.
Yeah, that's absolutely spot on. 20 minutes for the pit stop window. You can see 18 minutes and 10 seconds left remaining of that stint there, and Robbie Stapleford just coming round to complete another lap. And it's almost ironic that picture there, because you can see everybody else almost a quarter of a lap behind him, still got the Melbourne hairpin and Goddard's to do, and he's just streaking off into the distance. We've got a yellow flag out as the 555 is off the course. We'll get an idea on that. That is Mark Neutelings that left the course there, but gets back going again. But here comes Martin Buchan still onto the back of Tony Mella. He's dropped Dean Riley behind him in the Aston Martin. So the Bentley versus the Lexus starting to get the upper hand of that Aston Martin just behind them, with Ben Brown. A cracking performance actually for Ben Brown. We haven't spoken about him so far just now in that 22 McLaren, but a decent outing so far 37 minutes left to go, but your race leader Robbie Stapleford from Charlie Crossland by nearly 10 seconds. It's then nearly 10 seconds back to Will Dendy. Kieran Vidago in 4th, and then it's Michael O'Brien in 5th, Tony Mella in 6th, Martin Buchan in 7th, Dean Riley in 8th position, Ben Brown in 9th, Bobby Trundley still holding on only just to that 10th position right now.
I'll tell you what, to be fair, just like Ben Brown, just cracking on in P9. Fair play indeed. He's been he's not had too much of an eventful race. I don't think he's overly because he is sitting there in P9 and he's doing a very good job. Bit on his own, bit in no man's land. 6.7 seconds up to Dean Riley. Bobby Trundley is the next person behind. I wonder. We'll just have a quick look at the gap. I wonder if that gap is coming down. It's 1.9, so it's not coming down. Ben Brown just needs to keep doing what he's doing, and he will be he'll be looking pretty for what will be a top 10 finish. So very good stuff. Indeed, Aaron Martin Pilkington. Look who is ahead of him. Reegan Mitchell. Reegan Mitchell's gone a bit wide. He's obviously. So Aaron Martin Pilkington now is on the outside. Is he going to get the run? He's going to have a better line going through around the last corner. He needs to make sure again he's got to be nice and careful here. He has got a 20-second time penalty, remember? So that will be applied, I believe, in the if I'm not mistaken.
Oh my goodness me, that is Mark Neutling's. I don't even think there was an attempt to take that corner there. That looked like McLean's there or Coppice. But that's an unfortunate there. Oh, and now Aaron Martin Pilkington, 20 seconds of a time penalty there. Is that because he had 10 seconds? That's now 20 seconds. So is that extra damage or an extra incident? There we go. Another 10-second penalty for the collision with car 28. So that is Stuart-Ross French and him coming into it. And well, Stuart-Ross French 6.5 seconds back now, so you can only presume that it's been a fairly hefty bit of contact between those two that's caused all this. But here comes Will Dendy up the inside. I was getting all excited there, but that is the number 88 of Parr in the Ferrari, who's down in 21st place. So that is a lapped car, or a car going a lap down for Chris Parr there. Charlie Crossland still about 10 seconds ahead of Will Dendy right now. Oh my goodness me, that's a huge moment!
Whoa!
How did that GTR hold on to it? Bobby Trundley is an absolute madman. That was initial D drift style. Dan, that was save of the day, save of the season.
I mean, it's one way to go backwards entry, trying to go backwards entry into Melbourne here, but I can't say I've done that myself. Can't say I'd want to do that myself. But yeah, I mean, if it works, if it works, it works. I mean, you can't really argue. With that. Ken. Unfortunately, it has cost Bobby Brown a fair bit of time there to 7 seconds, which is a bit of a shame. Great plays into hand massively for Ben Brown though. Has now come up. Dean Riley is also in the pits for some reason. I imagine. Well, I say for some reason it would be because he's trying to take a pit stop there. If I just answer that question myself. So Dean Riley is one of the first people to pit after Sean Campbell and Bradley Brockies, who are currently sitting down in P20 and P22 respectively. So we might see a couple more people now start to pull in, but again, arguably you'll see number 7.
Oh no, that's Aaron Martin Pilkington off after the railway bend there. Goodness me. So that looks like it's going to be more misery heaped onto the number 76. He's off at the side of the track and he's away into the pit lane, possibly retiring from the race. And the number 10 into pit lane as well. There goes Charlie Crossland, and he's the first to blink out of your leaders. Michael O'Brien. Oh, what has happened to that car? That is a hefty bit of front end damage to the car there, limping his way through to the pit lane, possibly to get some repairs, possibly to retire. We've got another yellow flag. That's the 32 this time. I think that's Max Spooner again. We've got the 30 bringing out a yellow flag as well. In fact, the 32 is James Haskell. The 30 is Hamish Easner. The two of them are really, really struggling. And now this is a battle of attrition. It's just a case of surviving. That's all they need to do. And as we speak, Charlie Crossland then out of pit lane gets going again just now, but that is going to be a very, very lengthy pit stop there. And well, oh my 32 minutes left to go in this race, and I've got to say, Dan, you know, it's been an amazing race so far, but it's just a little bit chaotic right now.
It is certainly being a bit more chaotic than I think we were sort of anticipating initially. Weren't we? I knew we were going to obviously anticipate some action, but it all seemed to have just come in, you know, one big lump. Really, these sort of past couple of laps. Again, so I think drivers are trying to. Looks like drivers maybe are trying to push the car a little bit more, push the car maybe slightly more aggressively. Just think that maybe that the conditions definitely aren't helping. Do have a look though. Obviously, it's not going to make too much of a difference, but in the next 10 minutes, it's supposed to continue to get heavier. In the next 30 minutes, though, it's supposed to get dry. That could change, though. It may not. It may happen a lot earlier. It may start to ease up quite early. So we might even see, you know, the last 10 minutes, it just dries up completely. You don't really know. Let's have a look at what Reegan Mitchell does. Sorry, this is Martin Pilkington. Oh no, is that Bobby Trundley? Oh, Bobby Trundley just it gets on the curb, which, to be fair, people have been doing all race. Maybe just a little bit too early on the throttle, a bit too aggressive on the throttle, it looks like. And Martin Pilkington was just the innocent party.
Dan, I've got to be honest, Robbie Stapleford has absolutely done a blinder with this one. Cracking pit stop there to get ahead of Charlie Crossland in that number 10 machine. We'll keep an eye as all the cars basically file themselves through. But I mean, Robbie Stapleford, from what I'm seeing here, is taking out now a gap of about 25 seconds over second place. I mean, that is an absurd gap now that Robbie Stapleford has opened up over your second place of Charlie Crossland. And I've got to be honest, now, see, this is the thing. I want to say, yes, it's looking very good for Robbie. However, I've commentated on a race where he was just he was out front. He started at the back of the grid, came all the way through, was at leading the race, and spun up completely all by himself just because he was pushing lap after lap, trying to get fastest lap. So he has been known to make mistakes, but if you're that far out in front and you've got three rounds left to go in the championship, including this one, I mean, you kind of just want to ease off a little bit, don't you?
I think you do it. Well, again, it's actually quite hard in some circumstances. It can be quite hard to just simply ease off. You know, sometimes it isn't as easy as saying just, you know, 10% slower, 5% slower, you know, or a little bit less here, a little bit less. It can be actually quite difficult to put yourself in that sort of rhythm because you're in a rhythm at the moment. If you then try and adjust that rhythm, it can then sometimes have a negative effect. This is Martin Bushen and Tony Mellor. They're having a real big old gap here as well. You can just see the eTeam Vazzaro car. I mean, how we can see anything, I don't really know at this point. You might be just sort of guessing and using the force to decide where to go at this point. But again, that Lexus is fast in a straight line, though. Wow, that Bentley looks like it's standing still going in. Last late breakers, though, was the number 26 of Tony Mellor. The number 20 of Tony Mellor. Even big moment there as well. That has opened the door for Bushen possibly, but Mellor goes and has a small little defensive manoeuvre. A little bit aggressive there, maybe a little bit too aggressive there on the curbs for Bushen. That may have cost him a bit of time. And again, just ran two wheels over that curb on the inside, which certainly would have cost him. Yeah. So again, just got to be a little bit careful here as well, that you want to push the car. You don't want to overdrive the car and do something of what we saw maybe a little bit earlier on with Bobby Trundley.
I mean, that is a cracking battle with Tony Mella and Martin Buck, and they are just fighting out tooth and nail for that third position. I think that will settle down because obviously they'll get shuffled back down towards the tail end of the top 10 once pit stops come into play, as we see Paolo Tempera and Sandero Ballesteros fighting it out as well. But back to that battle for what is third place just now, again with just a couple of minutes left to go in the pit window here. The 88 brings out the yellow flags. Oh my goodness me, stopped right at the end of the track there. That's the number 88, that's Power, who is yet to pit there, gets going again. That's a scary place there, Dan, to have a car stopped, and 7 minutes left to go here. Robbie Stapleford again, that gap is absolutely, in fact, actually look, Kieran Vidago's done the jump on Charlie Crossland. Am I right in saying that? Has Kieran Vidago actually got up into second place, or am I just making things up in my mind?
Well, I think, to be fair, definitely looking at it from this perspective, Kieran Vidago...
He's not, no, he's just behind. So
he's going
just
down,
have a look
right.
at the... Yeah, he's just... But he is about a second behind Charlie Crossland. So Crossland has had a horrendous pit stop there, under real pressure right now.
Yeah, at the moment, not looking the best, is it? As it stands. Well, I suppose Kieran Vidago, no, he's... Whoa! Big one there. That someone got off. Couldn't quite see who that was.
That's Crossland! That's Crossland at McLean. So that is huge news for the championship standings, because that's even less points that Charlie Crossland is going to take off. And I'm gonna forecast something right now. We saw this at Snetterton. Charlie Crossland has got a very thin temper level. And if he loses his temper, once one thing happens, he tries way too hard to catch back up. He tries way too hard to push that car, and you start seeing some really bad things happening. So I hope we don't, but just bear in mind that might actually be the downfall.
Well, again, as you say, let us hope that is not the case. But again, only time will tell. We've still got 25 minutes left, though, so. You know, at the end of the day, there is still plenty of time at this stage to be able to, control, compose, and then get back up. The gap at the moment, have a look at that on the left-hand side of your screen, is 2 seconds. This is what happened here. So going down, going through Starkey's Bridge up into McLean's, is it just a little bit too much on the curbs? Yeah, look at that. Car just goes. Yeah, just drove the car too far. I mean, arguably, though, I mean, fair play to keep the car in check. That could have easily been a spin. So Charlie Crossland just sort of like parking the car where it needs to be. I'd probably imagine that was a lot of control on the brakes. Oh, Will Dendy's had a spin. Will Dendy has had a spin. Got to take it nice and easy on the rejoin. And there we go. Yep, all good. I wonder what happened there. That was on the exit of McLean's as well. So definitely a couple of positions lost. And I believe that is that's Campbell that has got by. So Campbell has got, that's a lot of positions lost there. For Will Dendy, so was running in the top 10 in P7. Now, unfortunately, running in about 11th or 12th. I know Will Dendy, and I know Will Dendy will not be happy with that by any stretch of the imagination. Just comes across. Whoa! Is that Charlie Crossland again getting?
Well, this is a fun race, isn't it? 25 minutes left to go and all hell is kicking off here. Goodness me. It's still, it will be Robbie Stapleford that regains the lead of this race after Tony Mella is into the pits now. In fact, there you go. So Robbie Stapleford still in the lead of this race. And watch for the gap to Kieran Vidago. Charlie Crossland falling off the back end of the horse of Kieran Vidago there, about 3.5 seconds there as Will Dendy goes wide into Goddard's there, comes across the line, and again split up by a couple of cars that haven't quite pitted yet. So Stuart-Ross French, Tony Mella is in the pits, Ben Brown is in the pits, Sandero Ballesteros is in the pits as well, and again we'll keep an eye on where all of those come out. But I mean, this has just had absolutely everything that you could have wanted to see in a race here, and I'm just having a look here at where everybody is in terms of I think Tony Mella has now dropped down, I would believe, into about 10th position, because he's actually going to go down behind Will Dendy there. We've got another yellow flag there. That was the 24, was that Michael O'Brien now that's into to pit lane. It's a retirement from the race nonetheless. So it is. I think that's Michael O'Brien that has pulled it out of the race there. We've got 4 retirements. You've got Max Spooner, Mark Neutlings and Martin Pilkington, and Michael O'Brien have all retired from the race. And if I'm right in reading that gap from first to second place that's got to be about 30 seconds surely between Robbie Stapleford and Kieran Vidago.
Yes, it will be indeed. You are absolutely right. That's quite a sizable gap by any stretch of the imagination. There is now Charlie Crossland. He can see Vidago. Obviously, the gap is now 0.8 of a second. It was 2 seconds. It is now 0.8 seconds. So you can see how that time has come down. However, David, as we all know, catching up is one thing, getting past is quite another. So we'll have to see how Charlie Crossland can try and navigate his way past. He certainly had the pace from what we could see. The pace was definitely there initially, but obviously, we simply don't know, do we? The rate that he's catching him, though, because have a look at that. Very, very aggressive. He is catching up very, very fast. That was someone just going to look whatever it was, a back marker. I think... Actually, no, I'm not going to say what I was originally going to say. But it's looking... Charlie Crossland is certainly a man on a mission.
Yes. Certainly is charging down hard. We saw mistakes from both Vidago and Crossland. Vidago making the first mistake in Crossland, running wide, and Crossland actually doesn't even bother with the chicane there, just pure straight line across the chicane. That is, I have never in my life seen that move. And there we go, Charlie Crossland with the biggest send that I have ever seen in my life, and a name that we will not repeat here on the stream for the rest of the evening in case we need to start putting trigger warnings up. But Charlie Crossland up into second place. He goes very, very deep into Goddard. That's going to allow Kieran Vidago, and this is where the temper is going to stray in. What is Charlie Crossland doing? He's just, I don't understand why that car is behaving the way it is right now, Dan.
No, neither do I, to be fair. It's I wonder what's going on at this sort of point. I wonder what's also going through Kieran Vidago's mind, because he knows that Crossland has got the pace. I almost don't think it's going to be worth trying to pull that time back. If anything, whoa, big moment there for Vidago as well. Again, it's just everyone just trying to save slides. That again just goes to show me that Vidago is trying to push really, really quite a lot at this moment in time, and the car just isn't responding at this moment. You can see that the gap there to Charlie Crossland is already now around about 0.7 of a second. I just think at this point Vidago needs to turn and go, do you know what? Yeah, had an opportunity. Charlie Crossland was just fast and was arguably faster. Gap between him, Vidago now and Bushin is 4.1 seconds. Big moment there for Charlie Crossland. Big moment there for Charlie Crossland.
That's the second time. Now this is going to be huge, because that is going to be a track cut warning, almost certainly for Charlie Crossland there. I mean, if it's not, that is very suspicious if that is not a track cut, because that is twice now that he's done that to the left hand side and just I don't like using this word. I do like using this word, but he's just yeeted it across the chicane. He's just absolutely sent it full force and not had any issue with it at all. In fact, he's made over a second through that chicane by that track cut there. So yeah, that's it's not the best there.
Yeah, he's got to be, as you say, got to be a little bit careful there. Will Dendy is back up to P6 now. So Will Dendy, another person that is on a bit of a mission in these this final third of the race, which we run to that. Look at that, 18 minutes. This race has gone very, very quickly indeed. Certainly goes to show again with the action that we've got. The time to sort of disappear from you, doesn't it? Yeah, we've seen Will Dendy's now back up into 6. Sean Campbell has now had another moment, I believe. Did he have a bit of a look? Let's see what car that was ahead of him. No, that was Dendy. So he has spun and dropped a position That is Will Dendy now in front. So a little bit of a wiggle there for Sean Campbell. He has now dropped into P6. That is inherited. Obviously, Will Dendy has now inherited P5, which I don't think he's going to be complaining about too much, considering he had that spin a little bit earlier on.
And also, that means that Martin Buchan is up to fourth position. Given that he was down out of the top 10, he'll be very, very happy with that one. And he is closing on Kieran Vidago. Kieran Vidago now 2 seconds behind Charlie Crossland. So Martin doing a cracking job down there in fourth position. Will Dendy, as you said, in fifth, but Robbie Stapleford out front in charge of this race now, 35 seconds ahead of Charlie Crossland in that second position. We've got 17 minutes left to go in the race here. Kieran Vidago in third, Martin Buchan in fourth position, Will Dendy in fifth, Sean Campbell in sixth, Dean Riley in seventh, Reegan Mitchell in eighth position, Ben Brown in ninth, and Stuart-Ross French rounding out the top 10 as we head into the final 17 minutes of this race. It's all been about Robbie Stapleford. There was a very brief battle between Charlie Crossland and himself, and that gap now between Crossland and Vidago comes down again by half a second. So at Crossland and Vidago not done yet, and looking on the map, it looks even closer than that now.
It does indeed, yes. It's very, very quick. Ben Brown goes a little bit wide, though. Would have cost him a little bit of time. Just a little bit of time, not too much, though. Well, that's definitely cost Bobby Trunley a bit more time there. That little instant there. Wow, that was a lot. That was going down. The crane occurs. So I'm not 100% sure what happened there. Maybe just a little bit too aggressive, perhaps on the exit, or going down. Maybe again just a bit of a snap and a kick, just then a bit of overcorrection. Could have been a number of things there. Yeah, Kieran Vidago though. Charlie Crossland with that 5-second penalty. Now
That's
I wonder if that is for the track.
Oh, it is. So that's from race control. That's not part of the game, because obviously the track cuts are adjudicated by the game, but he's been given a 5-second penalty for a deliberate track cut. That is huge. I'm really impressed with that, because obviously, as we said, track cuts are built in, and the thing is if he's got a track cut as well, that's on top. So he could be in double jeopardy here, and this is what I said, it all goes wrong. He pushes way too hard, causes an issue for himself, and now what that means is that he's going to be in danger of Martin Buchan in fourth place. So Charlie Crossland might have another absolutely horrendous night to his own doing here, and it might end up off of the podium. And with 2 rounds after tonight left to go in the championship, that is on Kieran Vidago's gone off at Coppice. What is going on? That is unbelievable. Thankfully, we caught the tail end of it, and it looks like he's maybe lost about a second out of that. Martin Buchan is going to be laughing himself silly tonight, I think, after this one done.
Well, as you say, Martin Buchan is going to be. He's just sitting there. Look, he's just in the background there. He's got a lot to do at this point. He's got a lot to be able to catch up, and yes, he has got to catch up as well. Comfortably a second on the back of from Charlie Crossland. You think the gap between Vidago is now 2.7 seconds between Crossland? The gap is 3.4 seconds between Buchan and Vidago. It's now 3 seconds between Crossland and Vidago. So arguably, in these final sort of 7 or 8 laps that will be, or maybe sort of 10 laps that will be going through, we may even see Charlie Crossland actually pull that 5-second time out. Although, as you said, the track limits and the track cuts that may also be on top of what he's already got obviously that may throw another spanner in the works completely. Buchan's got a fair chunk of time to try and catch up, but I don't think he's going to be too fussed about doing so. I think he'll just instead try and focus on keeping the car just in check in a nice sort of controlled and smooth manner. Last thing you want to do is to throw away a P4, very, very good finishing position, strong finishing position, especially if you've got no one to battle and you've got no one around you that you're having to worry too much about. No point in overdriving the car. Absolutely no point.
Yeah, it's an amazing battle we've got from 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th and 9th onwards. That's Will Dendy, Sean Campbell, Dean Riley and Reegan Mitchell all involved in that one as the cars, our lead cars, and at second, third and fourth, making their way through the chicane just now. What I'd like to know is, what lap was that for the deliberate cut? Because remember, that was 2 separate laps that he cut that chicane there, and it wasn't like it was if you miss your braking point, you go and cut the track on the right hand side. But he just launched it on the left, which is what made me believe it was slightly more deliberate than actually missing his brake point. And arguably, that cost him way more time than I think he'd likely have gained.
Yes, no, absolutely, very, very true, very, very true indeed. I'm a little bit confused, I think, as well as to what has what is going on, especially in these final few minutes, because I really, it's all just been sort of turned on its head a little bit as well. Have a look at this, because Campbell and Riley is now right on the. I think Campbell went a little bit wide going through down into on the exit of Redgate, which would have cost him just that little bit more as well. So I'm not 100% sure why this is now. So Sean Campbell is maybe the tyres are being used up by everyone as well. We simply, I don't know at this point. I wonder if the people are sort of trying to now overdrive the car, and because they've been spinning the cars up so much and spinning the tyres up so much, even though that it is wet, obviously, drivers have got to try and keep all the cars in check, and it is difficult.
It really, really is. Just looking at the lap times there from Charlie Crossland, 1:36.360, already brought nearly 5 seconds ahead of Kieran Vidago. So again, minimising any effect that penalty is going to have on him, and that you called that about a lap and a half ago there. So Dean Riley here. In a rock and a hard place, because he's got Sean Campbell ahead, but he's also got Reegan Mitchell behind, and we've spoken many times about Reegan Mitchell and the potential that he has in that car. And Bobby Trundley again having a moment that is on the run up to McLean's, gets going again and doesn't lose out too much, I don't think, in that number 23. In fact, he's now dropped about 10 seconds over. Oh my goodness me, is there damage on that car? Because that thing is sliding about all over the place. I wonder if either the tyre pressure is gone, or there's maybe damage to the front right of that car. It certainly doesn't look to be too happy there. And I think that might be almost game over for Bobby Trundley. If he can try and hold on to this would be a minor miracle. I've also just realised that our race leader is now up into Paulo Tempera. So up to Paulo Tempera has been lapped. So lapped everybody up into P10. That is ridiculous pace, you've got to say.
It is, isn't it? It's very, very it's very, very good pace, and arguably it's relentless pace. We know that from Robbie. We know the pace that he has got, and I just think it's going to be ever. The annoying thing is, as well, is arguably it's only ever going to get faster. What's happened to Crossland?
Why? What is going on here? That was 5 seconds and growing, and it's back down. So Charlie Crossland has, Crossland's had a howler. He's done a 140. He's lost 4 seconds on that last lap there. Charlie Crossland, it's all going wrong for him. I wonder, actually, he was also around about James Haskell as well in that Honda. So we'll get a replay and find out what exactly happened there. But this is not good for Crossland, because, again, it's that pressure from Kieran Vidago behind him. And I'd rather be not having somebody that was harassing me on my tail, because I'd rather be focusing on the empty space in front of me than the car behind me. And again, Kieran Vidago getting all sorts of shapes coming through into to McLean's, gets it going again. But Charlie Crossland, something is just not right and not gelling with this car here.
No, it's not. No, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. It's well, again, I don't know. This is even more of a tricky situation at this point, isn't it? We're now in a position where we've arguably got a situation where the gap obviously was well over 5 seconds to Crossland and Bucket. Now, I mean, the gap is it's less than 5 seconds. It is less than 5 seconds. It seems that Crossland's already pulled out near enough of that anyway, over for it to be now over 5 seconds. But even so, it only takes one more mistake that, and I think it might be too late. I think it might then be too late to actually try and catch that positioning back up.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely spot on, because with only 7.5 minutes left to go, let's have a look then. This is Charlie Crossland on the entry to McLean's here, and again that back end just slips out. He tries to keep on to it, ends up going into the gravel, and that was a car off into the background as well there. That was that Max Spooner again? But no, Max Spooner's out, so maybe it was Sandero Ballesteros or Luke Pound it will have been, because 66 GTR is into the pits and possibly retired from this race here. So yeah, that is not the best, but back with Charlie Crossland, that gap now 1.5 seconds, and that Ferrari hunting, it can smell that position. All they need to do is just keep it on the black stuff, because at this moment in time, Charlie Crossland just not able to get the pace that they need. And Will Dendy's had a moment as well coming into McLean's, gets going again, but again, it's just left, right and centre. This action is just kicking off. It's unrelenting, isn't it?
It is indeed, absolutely, very, very true. It is certainly something that, excuse me, it's certainly something that you've got to be conscious of, isn't it? Because this action, there's a lot more to come in these last 6 minutes. This is now Hamish as well. Another the Lamborghini again, big bird, it's down into Craner curves. That has cost him possibly a little bit of grip. And is it just going to be a bit on the grass? I think it may have just been, as we go down Craner curves, it was a good save nevertheless, going down into Craner curves, because you just see it there as you go over the curb. I mean, as soon as you go over the curb, there it is. So it was Hamish, the number 30. That's a bit of an odd one as well, to be honest. Looked like, again, maybe just a bit too fast going through turn 6 of Starkey's Bridge going into McLean's. And again, I imagine it was probably just in the moment of where you try and then cross over going into the right-hander, maybe just a dab of the brakes to try and sort of bring the front in. But again, just sort of like threw the car in a position that certainly wasn't ideal. And obviously that's cost that cost Hamish even more time to repair.
I'm just saying here, Kieran Vidago looks like he's really nursing that car. He's lost about a second he's lost about a second and a half onto Charlie Crossland there, as has to skip through that chicane again. I wonder how much, if brakes are starting to become an issue, or maybe cold tyres. We've got an ominous tyre stack in the middle of the road there. Charlie Crossland managing to get caught up to the back end of looks like one of the Team BRIT cars. That's the 32 of James Haskell that's in the Honda. So not a Team BRIT car, but it looked like that Honda just closed the door, and they're still side by side, so that's cost Charlie Crossland a little bit of time here. Comes across the line there, and indeed that's half a second lost to the car behind of Kieran Vidago. So as it stands, it's still going to be Martin Buchan and Kieran Vidago pipping Charlie Crossland to that podium position right now. I've got no doubt that Charlie will try and bring out some time here in the final 4 minutes, but is that car stable enough? And James Haskell is I think exploring the Donington countryside, shall we say?
I think that's the best way to put it.
Probably the less said about this, the better. But gets going. Well, I mean, to be fair, Honda did do that special racing edition lawnmower, didn't they? So maybe James Haskell's just channeling that inner energy for that. But back under 2 seconds, the gap between Charlie Crossland and Kieran Vidago. So the gap that was there, the advantage that was there from that lapped car is now well and truly gone, and it looks like it is coming down. It's actually going back up now. So swings and roundabouts. But 3.5 minutes left to go. Sandro Ballesteros here trying to hunt down eTeam BRIT driver Bobby Trundley. Yeah, this is I can't imagine this is going to go down too well if these two come to blows. Yet stranger things have actually happened, but your race leader, Robbie Stapleford, 3 minutes away from a very, very classy win here, Dan.
Well, at the moment, so yes. Again, let us not say anything. There's anything can happen in these final few moments. But yeah, I think at the moment, let's just go through. I mean, yeah, arguably it is a very, very dominant win, isn't it? Let's be honest. And it is going to be, at this moment in time, it's going to be Vidago that will take P2 once you put Charlie Crossan's 5-second time penalty on the cards as well. So this is going to play very nicely into the hands of Robbie Stapleford as it stands currently.
He is certainly going to be very, very happy. Let's watch with Sandro Ballesteros. Then they come into McLean's and Bobby Trundley still look very, very twitchy, very, very nervous in that GTR. He's doing the very best that he can to try and put the pedal to the metal, but every time he even thinks about touching the loud pedal, the back end of that car squirms and squeals away, and begging to try and get some traction. He gets a run out of Coppice, so gets a great run down Starkey Straight here, and Sandro Ballesteros having to wiggle that car under brake and trying to get it turned in, gets it done, and again Bobby Trundley gets to live and scamper away, but not for long, because Sandro Ballesteros gets a great run out the chicane, late onto the brakes. Then Bobby very, very early onto the brakes pulls it in here, and I think it is still going to be Bobby Trundley ahead from Sandro Ballesteros. They're going to crack off another lap here as we've gone 36 laps of the race with Robbie Stapleford at the lead. He's already on his way down towards Old Railway Bend there. And second and third place there, Charlie Crossland just ahead of Kieran Vidago. They're just coming into Goddard's now as we've got a little bit of action going on through McLean's. This is Michael Tyler on the back end of Dan Hyde. Charlie Crossland comes across the timing line now. 2.5 seconds is the gap between Kieran Vidago and Charlie Crossland. So as you said, Dan, that second place is going to go to Kieran Vidago. But again, with the way that that Charlie is struggling to hold that car together, you would not bet against Martin Buchan getting the final step on the podium here.
Well, again, as you say, coming into to what is now the last lap, we've seen it again. We've seen it time and time again that anything can, very much anything can happen. Michael Tyler for eTeam, BRIT, Aston Martin, number 445, tries to go around the outside, but well, look at that. Robbie's already finished. I can't even believe that. No, sorry, last lap. He's got.
I was always saying, yeah, he's got.
It's not finished. Sorry, I'm getting a bit too carried away, aren't I? But yeah, you can just see Robbie Stapleford ahead over there. Just in a race of his own, really. He's not, he's just sitting there, just sort of like cracking on by himself, isn't it? It's almost like he's just. This is more of a test session.
The thing is the time hits 0 then, and we are on our final lap of the race, Dan. This has just been an absolute cracker. A lot less drama than I thought we were going to see. We've had a little spits and spots of drama here, but it's been a remarkably well-behaved race for a lot of these drivers. They've really done themselves proud, and oh, hang on a second. That is a huge gap opened up now between Kieran Vidago and Charlie Crossland and Martin Buchan. Can Crossland do enough on this final lap here? He has to get a big push on and take an extra second out of Kieran Vidago here. And if Vidago makes a mistake, it's going to hand things to Martin Buchan potentially, because Charlie Crossland has that 5-second penalty. But we'll come to that in a second, because our race leader, Robbie Stapleford, is coming through Melbourne then for the final time in up the hill towards Goddard's, and it's been a classy finish from start to finish for Robbie Stapleford out of the final corner, and it's going to be round 6 as a win for Robbie Stapleford for Zansho Simsport. Weaves from back forward across the line, and that is a great win. More championship points for him. The gap to Kieran Vidago, just 4.4 seconds now. There's just 0.6 of a second, and there's a gaggle of cars that's going to be catching out Charlie Crossland at the worst time possible. Is he going to get impatient and try to close them down? I think he is. Let's hope nothing happens here at all. 3 Team BRIT cars. It's the worst train. You could get caught behind Charlie Crossland, weaving, trying to get it through into the inside here. Oh, this doesn't look good, does it? Oh my goodness, but he gets going again, but that's cost him a little bit of time, and I do stress a little bit of time. But Charlie Crossland comes across the line. But what can Kieran Vidago do? He does it! Kieran Vidago takes second place after that 5-second penalty. Martin Buchan is going to finish in 4th position. It's going to be Sean Campbell to take 5th from Dean Riley and Reegan Mitchell in 7th. Will Dendy's going to finish 8th. Ben Brown in 9th. Stuart-Ross French in 10th position. Dan, wow, oh wow, that final lap there.
Oh, it was definitely heart in the mouth stuff, wasn't it? That was pretty intense indeed. Very good though. Like at the end of the day, it was clean. Obviously, it is just unfortunate timing. It was just unfortunate timing for Charlie Crossland there. So yeah, it's a little bit of a shame. But again, I think that realistically, it is as you say, it's just one of those things. But that is the way the cookie crumbles sometimes. It would have been obviously a lot different if Crossland hadn't have had those cut tracks. But as I said, unfortunately, that's the way it went.
Whew, and breathe. Right, we'll give the drivers a couple of minutes to dust themselves off and head into the chat channel, and we'll drag them in if there's anybody that is coming to have a chat with us. But Dan, I mean, looking through that race from start to finish, obviously Robbie Stapleford, he had a little bit of a fight from Charlie Crossland over the first couple of laps. After he kind of cleared Charlie, the race was his, wasn't it?
Pretty much. Yeah, it was. As soon as it was strange. It was strange. That the first 5 or 10 minutes were where the battles were taking place, and then as soon as that seemed to as soon as that passed, that was it. It was just, everything sort of just fell into place, really. And Robbie just got into his groove. I think he was just getting used to the conditions, really. He built it up, correctly. Charlie Crossland may have had slightly more optimum tyres at the time as well at the start of the race, and Robbie's kicked in maybe a little bit later. Yeah, it's just Robbie managed to build up to it in a way. But yeah, I mean, absolutely fair play indeed. Can't argue with that result from Stapleford.
Yeah, well, we've got our first of our drivers to have a chat with just now. Kieran Vidago in with us today. Kieran, second place after Charlie Crossland getting a 5-second time penalty. That was just epic to the finish.
Yeah, it was. That was really hard. Raining the entire time with on the new physics model. It's really scary. Going around every corner, you get an understeer and you get an oversteer. So. It was mainly just keeping it on the black stuff that got me there.
And obviously, the entire race, you were caught in between a rock and a hard place, because quietly climbing up through the order, and then that final 15 minutes where you're fighting a dragon and fighting a dragon, in the terms of Charlie Crossland and Martin Buchan behind you. It was just an immense finish to the race. But did you think that P2 was going to be achievable for yourself?
P2 I thought was off the cards today. I thought P3 was probably the best I was going to be able to do. The rain definitely really helped, because I wasn't expecting a dry race to be that good for me. Yeah, I saw Alexis behind of Buchan, and he was closing in so quick at certain points. Like some of the corners, he would gain a second on me. It was crazy.
Yeah, no, that does make sense. And obviously, just quickly looking forward to Spa and Imola, the final 2 rounds. What's your thoughts on them?
Spa, I think I've got a good car for. Imola, I've never really got on with Imola, so be a lot of practice for that. But no, it'll be good, hopefully.
Well, a brilliant performance, Kieran, tonight, nonetheless. So congratulations and thanks for making that enjoyable for us.
Cheers, guys.
Right, so there we go. Kieran Vidago there. We'll get Mike, our broadcast producer, to sort us out with our next interview. We'll see if we can have a chat with Charlie Crossland, who is in the booth just now. Charlie, that was an epic race, a bit of a frustrating race for yourself, though.
Fine, race was fine. I just didn't really enjoy it that much. Murk in the rain doesn't really do anything. Yeah.
On nights like this, Charlie, right? We know that you've got immense skill and immense pace, and we could sense it up in the commentary box that you just weren't feeling tonight. As a driver, how do you get yourself through nights like tonight?
Hope that doesn't rain.
And then, of course, I can imagine. What was your thoughts when you kind of went to the grid?
I was like, "Congrats, Robbie, on the championship." And then that was it, really. And I just got on with it.
Do you think that's it done and dusted for the championship? Then do you think that it's beyond?
Oh yeah.
Him?
Well, I'll be about 20 points behind, unless he gets a disconnect, which I highly doubt it. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, it's been a frustrating end to the season, but obviously, optimism and all that. Spa and Imola still to go. You'll surely be giving it your best shot.
Imola, yeah. Spa, I don't really know. Yeah, I mean, Robbie got lucky that the game doesn't allow you to go over 75 kg. But yeah,
right.
Do much.
On that note, I mean, how much do you think we should be giving Robbie? Because 75 obviously isn't enough. I mean, 150, 250. What would you be putting on Robbie Stapleford if you could?
I wouldn't put anything on Robbie. I'll just put it on the McLaren. Yeah, I'll just put it all on the McLaren. The car was the best car in the game before the 1.8, and then they made it lighter, so it makes no sense. Oof. So yeah.
Yeah. No, I like you've been amazing to watch through the season, Charlie. I really hope that we can bring things around for you for Spa and for Imola.
Yeah.
Well, best luck then. So Charlie Crossland there, and we'll go and have a chat then with a race winner, Robbie Stapleford, and Robbie. Right, okay, so we're used to this. Obviously, we can only put 75 kilos on you, or on the McLaren. Shall we try and put just an entire other car on you and see how that goes?
Maybe. We'll see. I don't know. Don't think it'll go quite well, but who knows?
Right, come on, talk us through that race, because obviously you had that epic fight to begin with Charlie, and then once you cleared off, I mean, we've seen this from you from so many different races lately, where you get a hint of fresh air and you're just gone, and it's not just as if you're gone, but you have so much consistent pace. I mean, where is that coming from? Firstly, how has the 1.8 update been for you, and secondly, where does that pace come from?
It's been quite good. It's been tricky to try and set up a setup for pretty much in between wet and dry. So I was hoping for one condition, which luckily it was. It just stayed wet for the whole thing. But yeah, just try and stay as consistent as I can. And that fight at the beginning with Charlie was really good. And luckily we came out both alive and didn't really touch, and it was clean racing. So yeah, I think other than that, just try and keep it as consistent as I can, and don't get in any danger when I'm going around.
Now, we spoke to Charlie, who's obviously fairly dismayed at how his race went, and has pretty much, given the championship he believes to you. Do you think it's done and dusted, or are you still having to keep an eye on your backside?
Oh, anything could happen. I could DNF both rounds, couldn't I? And it would be straight back. So I think definitely it's full race mode until the last lap of the last race, and we'll see where we finish.
And on that note then, we've got 2 rounds left to go in the championship, Spa and Imola. What can we expect from both of those races?
I think Spa will be really good. I've been around there quite a few times and been very quick around Spa. Imola, I've only been around there in an Aston, so I'm not really sure how the McLaren is around there, so I guess we'll have to see.
Excellent stuff. Well, it's been an absolute pleasure as always, Robbie, watching you tonight. Another fairly significant win for the championship, and we'll see you at the new year at Spa.
Thanks, David. Merry Christmas, everyone.
Absolutely. So there we go. Then that is Robbie's.
David, are you there?
I am still here. I was pressed the wrong button. Let's not imagine that I did that. Right, that is us done for 2021. We've done 6 races. We've got 2 more to go in 2022. Spa on the 10th of January and Imola on the 7th of February. Where do we go from here?
Well, I mean, again, do we know? We're not going to know until it's there, really, are we? We're not going to know until it's actually happening there and then. I think it's still. I don't think it's. I think Charlie's definitely got to have a bit more sort of, I suppose, confidence in himself that anything can happen. Robbie is very, very fast as well. We all know that Robbie's fast, but Charlie is equally as fast in the in the right circumstances. So, and those circumstances could very well be in effect in the last 2 rounds. So it is just simply too close to call.
Yeah, certainly is. Well, Dan, we hope you've enjoyed your little brief foray into eTeam BRIT for GT Challenge Season 3. A very big thank you to stepping in tonight. Next time we will be back with our fearless leader, Alex Goldsmith, will be back in the commentary booth with myself. So huge thank you, Dan, to yourself. Huge thank you, as always, to Mike Yao for the broadcast over at Simsport Racing. And that is us, ladies and gentlemen. We will be back in the new year for round 7 and 8 of the eTeam BRIT GT Challenge Season 3 from myself, David Christie, from Dan Handover, and everyone here at eTeam BRIT. Have a wonderful Christmas, a joyous new year, and we will see you in 2022 for the finale of the season.